Alright, greetings and welcome everybody. Jay Sector here, and once again I'm going to be doing a top list of 2018 for you. So, this is back by popular demand, and I'm going to start off with music to start things off. Now, because there was so much good music this year, I'm going to be doing 20. So I'm going to make it quick for you so I'm not taking up too much time. So, to start things off, at number 20, I have, let me see if I need to make sure I pronounce everything right, Ueda with Cult of a Dying Sun. This Portland, Oregon band has been making a lot of waves with this latest album and gotten a lot of really good attention. So that's at spot 20. At 19, I got Immortal, Northern Chaos Gods. The latest Immortal album, of course, this is without Abath, and it's got Demonaz doing all the singing and all the that type of stuff. So this album sounds a lot more like early Immortal, you know, Pure Holocaust, etc., like that. So that early '90s sound. At 18, I got Midnatzel with The Aftermath. This band, it's the younger sister of Liv Kristen, that most folks know from Theater of Tragedy. And her band's much more like folk metal oriented. Really dig them. I've been a fan of them for years. So this latest release is there at 18. It's pretty solid. It's not as catchy as some earlier releases, but it's got some good tracks on there. So at 17, I got Collide with Mind and Matter. Now, this has like a bunch of remixes and all kinds of stuff. It came out this year, but there's a couple of tracks that I believe are new, and overall it's got some really catchy, really legit releases or tracks on there. So that's right there at 17. Now at 16, In Strict Confidence, Hate to Love. So this album, it's got some really catchy tracks on. Of course, Mercy, the single that came out, is one of their, you know, top tracks, and it's definitely a club hit. So I would say there's a few other really solid tracks. I guess one of the major differences is that previous releases, like in my humble opinion, what is it? Utopia is like their apex of albums. Now I know they have a long history of all kinds of different styles, etc. But Utopia, it's just so diverse in each of the tracks. Plus they have the guitars, the epic kind of orchestration. So to me, that's kind of the apex of their sound. So this kind of deviates a little bit away from that. Kind of goes back to their older school of sound. But it still has some pretty catchy tracks. So that is there at 16. So at 15, I have Beyond Creation's Algorithm, if that's how it's pronounced. This technical death metal band from Montreal. They've been really consistent. The reason why it's low on the list is I'd say the tracks don't stand out as much as their previous albums. It's kind of like one. They simply don't stand out as much. The musicianship is top notch. I'd say they're getting better and better when it comes to musicianship, and the technicality is amazing. But I'd say, as far as the catchiness of the tracks, and I shouldn't say catchiness, that's the wrong word. Memorable tracks, I'd say. It didn't stand out as much. So, but it's still a solid release. 14, I have Elderwind. Now I translated, it's their album is in Russian. The gentleman's from Russia. It's a one-man project, but it's the colder the night as far as Google translates. So hopefully that's pretty accurate. But Elderwind, this band fuses, much like Skyforest and that vein of black metal bands. They fuse shoegaze, black metal, and this album is just really atmospheric, and really incredible. So I don't have a hard copy. A few of these albums I don't have hard copies of, but I definitely would like to eventually get one because it's an incredible album. So moving on up, 13, Chthonic, The Battlefields of Azura, the band from Taiwan. They have been really consistent with their releases, and they have not failed with this one. So once again, this is another album I wish I had a hard copy of, but they are a consistent band when it comes to melodic symphonic black metal. Moving along, number 12, Marduk with Victoria. Now, Marduk have continued to write about World War II, so this is a really cool release that covers a few battles, a couple other things on there. So me being a history guy, really enjoy this album. So that's Marduk right there. Now, at 11, going into more history, the band 1914 with The Blind Leading the Blind. 1914 are this really cool fusion of black, death, and doom. Really doomy band. They're from the Ukraine, and their albums have been about World War I. So they have not failed with this one. They're only getting better. So they're getting a lot of attention with this album, and I'm glad because it's certainly well done. Moving along into the top 10. We're halfway there, folks. Oceans of Slumber, The Banished Heart. Now, it was really cool. They had a release party in New York. I didn't make it to that one, but I did make the Philly show when they performed with Insomnium, and it was an incredible show, and I picked this up from them. And so, just an incredible progressive metal band from Houston, Texas. So, this is really well done album, and I'm hoping for more from the future, more good releases to come. So, I'll say this. As far as my tops for 2018, this is the most, I guess, diverse genre-wise. Maybe as far as I see, I've got stuff from all over the place. As you see, I've already gone from folky metal to, industrial, gothic, etc. So moving along, at number 9, Incubus Succubus. This band from England, they've been a part of the goth rock scene for quite some time, and this new release goes right on back to their roots with a strong goth rock sound to it. So this is The Vampire Queen by Incubus Succubus. So this great release came out this year, and moving to number 8, Sojourner. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. The Shadowed Road. This band, the best way I can describe them is a fusion between Elevite, that melodic folk metal, and Summoning. So Summoning style of atmospheric black metal. That's what they sound like. So this is an international band. I'm looking forward to seeing them live in Germany, and so I'm glad to see, glad to be able to listen to their tracks in a live setting. So this is Sojourner with The Shadowed Road. Now, speaking of some mystical things, we got Dragonlord here with Dominion. Now this, when I bring up the mysticalness, their number 1 track from this, and I'd say probably their number 1 track they've ever done, is The Discord of Melkor. Yes, as a Tolkien fan, that not only is the track awesome lyrically, but musically speaking, it is awesome. So, Dragonlord, they really have, he's really created a really melodic symphonic black metal. It definitely harks back to older Dimmu Borgir, what's it called, Enthroned Darkness Triumphant. It definitely harks back to that sound, but you can, bass-wise, oh my gosh, bass-wise, this is, you can tell, what's his face, Eric from Testament, he's really cranking out that, the thrash riffs, and he's got the, I swear it sounds like straight out of Iron Maiden with the bass. It's really melodic on there. So, Dragonlord Dominion, really solid album, but without a doubt, The Discord of Melkor, one of their best tracks they've done. So, number 6. Infera with Revenant. Now, this band from Nashville, there's this budding scene in Nashville, Tennessee, and I got to see them live, and I got this from them. It's this really cool, like, technical melodic death metal. This tech mellow death stuff that's coming out of Nashville. Definitely harks back to Arsis and that Celebration of Guilt sound. So the Nashville scene is kind of budding with this, and they fuse kind of Flesh God Apocalypse and Septic Flesh type of atmosphere and keyboards and symphonic aspects of their music. But Revenant, definitely a really solid release by them, and looking forward to some more solid releases by them. Number 5, Leah with The Quest. Now, this came unexpected. I ended up picking this up at a record store, and I had heard the name of the band, and I decided to play it on my road trip or trek that I was on. And just an interesting fusion of styles, but in the end it's this very folky, atmospheric metal slash rock, and her voice really highlights the album, and there's some really great atmospheric tunes. So if you're a fan of female vocals and like folky type of metal, this is what you need to get. Now, number 4, The Awakening with Chasm. Absolutely fantastic release by The Awakening. Goth rock, and as far as they're for myself, they're probably my top, or at least in my top goth rock acts. He kind of fuses the more solid guitar work, the more metallic guitar work into the music, and it just makes it a little heavier than your more traditional goth rock bands. His amazing voice carries the lyrics throughout the album. It's just a fantastic release by The Awakening. So if you're a fan of goth rock, definitely pick it up. So, number 3. This one also kind of came unexpected. I didn't even realize that it was coming out this year, but I thought it was coming out early 2019, but I was certainly surprised when I was at the record store and found this. This is Serenia with Arcane Astral Aeons. Their previous record was a little bit less heavy. This one kind of picks it back up, but I would also say this is the most experimental album they've done. Some of the songs go all over the place, from like really atmospheric with her voice, and then boom, you get like this black metal section in the, you know what I mean, as heavy as, you know, the symphonic black metal, Norwegian symphonic black metal scene. So this album is really diverse sound-wise. It's got some really heavy sections in it and some really fantastic, well-written tracks. So for sure, this is number 3, Arcane Astral Aeons with Serenia. Now, number 2, Kalma with Palo. I'm probably butchering that pronunciation. Palo. I'm sorry, but this, Kalma, number 2. This album is fantastic. Kalma's been one of those bands that consistently makes fantastic music and fantastic albums. Catchy, heavy. Kalma. What more can I say? Fantastic release by them. Fingers crossed. It would be awesome to see them in the U.S. I think they're making a big enough name for them that they should be able to tour in the U.S. But we'll see. I had the privilege of seeing them in Germany in 2011 and had an amazing time seeing them live. So, but yeah, it would be cool to see them again. So fingers crossed. Kalma with Palo, or Palo. Number 1. Number 1. Drum roll, please. This band I was able to see in 2009 at Mera Luna Festival in Germany, and one of the things is when I got back from when I lived in Florida in the military, I remember I picked up one of their albums. This is Ashbury Heights, and I picked up their second to last album, and I was blown away. I was like, wow, like this is so awesome. This is a fantastic album. This takes it up another notch. This is Victorian Wallflowers by Ashbury Heights. Without a doubt, my number 1 album of the year. This album, from start to finish, is just amazing. And I'll say this. All the albums below, fantastic, really legit. But this is one of those genre albums where this is probably going to be one of my top albums. This is going to be in my top 5 in the entire genre, I would say. So unlike the previous albums, they're fantastic. They deserve their attention and your ears. But this album, if you were a fan of the gothy synth pop, if you're a fan of that genre, I swear, this is pop music for goths. Like, it is so good. Every song. I think there may be one or two, tracks that are, would constitute, I don't even want to say filler, because that seems too much of a negative. I'd say they're not as epic as the others. They're good, they're just not as epic. But you're talking for a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 tracks on here. 14 tracks. Maybe 2 out of 14 are not quite the bar. But this album is just amazing. Journey, Firebird, what's it called? Waiting for the Fall, Domino, Tomorrow's Dead to Me. Like, these tracks are so good. They're some of the best in the genre for this year. Well, they are, in my humble opinion, they are the best of the genre this year. This is such an amazing album. So definitely pick this up if you're a fan of that genre. Alright, that does it for music.